More on the Notre-Dame and the work ahead. I'm joined by Roger Lewis, Professor Emeritus at the University of Maryland School of Architecture. He's also a columnist for the Washington Post, focusing on infrastructure, the right person for us to be talking to. Roger, Emmanuel Macron came out, talked to the nation today, to the French people, and he said, we will rebuild and make Notre-Dame even more beautiful, and he hopes the renovation project will be completed in 5 years. In your expert opinion, how realistic is 5 years?
Realistic for certain parts of the building, particularly the roof. The roof structure is made of wood, it's timbers. That can be reconstructed probably even in less than 5 years. I think before anything can happen, though, they still have to make sure everything is stable and that it's safe even to go in there and start moving around the place in parts that have been damaged. So I think right now, they're still working on safety and stability, stabilizing the structure.
At what point will experts know the structure is actually stable to go in?
I think very soon. I mean, I think what everyone should remember is that the mass of that building, the structure of that building, other than the roof, is composed of very large, heavy stones that have been there for hundreds of years, and they don't burn.
Were there vulnerabilities in the cathedral structurally?
Well, the biggest vulnerability is fire. And I suspect, my guess is that there was some mistake or some accident up in the attic when they were doing the restoration work. And that you were talking about a lot of dried wood, very dried wood.
Well, that was my question.
It will go up very quickly, so it doesn't take much to start a fire.
What went through your mind when you heard about this fire, when you saw the images?
Well, having been there many times, shock. I mean, I just couldn't believe it was happening. I mean, it was really, and it's a huge tragedy, a great disaster for not just Paris and France, but for the world. I think all of it, especially for us architects. I mean, most architects have studied and love the kind of structural clarity that is typical of Gothic architecture. So it's a tragedy in many ways.
Most of the experts that we've talked to, they say rebuilding is going to be complicated, it's going to be lengthy, and it's going to be very, very expensive. Just how daunting, Roger, do you think it's going to be for the entire structure, or at least the parts that were destroyed?
Well, it's hard to say without knowing exactly what was destroyed. There's smoke and water damage that has to be dealt with, so there's a certain amount of cleaning up that has to be done. The stone itself is essentially unaffected by fire. I think I don't know the condition of the choir. I mean, there are a lot of things in there that could burn. I just don't know right now. I think we'll have to come back and visit that again.
We've also been hearing that the 3 great stained glass rose windows, that they sustained some damage, but for the most part, they are intact. That's truly remarkable.
I'm surprised by that. The metal that holds the glass in is able to melt at very low temperatures. I was afraid yesterday when I first heard about that would all be gone. So I'm really happy to hear that the rose windows are mostly intact.
President Trump, shortly after this fire, tweeted that, he sort of suggested that firefighters should be dumping water from helicopters. Is that the right approach with a fire of that magnitude on an ancient structure that's some 850 years old? I mean, dumping cold water on red-hot stone, can it cause it to shatter? Can it cause it to crack? But
it's a bad idea. Mr. Trump is better off staying away from engineering recommendations, in my opinion. But no, in a city, you don't see this happening except out where they're fighting forest fires. I mean, to fly over and dump water would not be at all feasible, and it would endanger the structure. You could have collapse.
All right. Maybe the president is watching.
I hope so too.
Thank you, Roger Lewis. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.